in the acknowledgments, you thank beta readers and English students. I'm just curious, how do you get to enlist English students to read the book, and how many are we talking?
Okay, wow, you really did some research here, didn't you?
I tried to.
So when I was in college, I got to be in, I took some classes on creative writing, but I also took classes on editing, which is one thing that I'm really grateful I did because it helped me out so much now. And part of editing was we actually found an author at school, like one of the students come in, and she was she let us use her manuscript as like a template for us to edit. And so after doing that and seeing like how much it was beneficial to the author, and also just like how much different pieces of feedback you could get from an entire class, I decided to go back after I graduated, and I sent in my own manuscript to a class. And I didn't know any of these students, so it's kind of like risky letting so many people read it, but that was an earlier draft, so it was probably a horrible draft, but an entire college class of English editing students got to rip it apart and tell me what works and what doesn't, and it was really cool. It was really cool that they did that, so I'm very appreciative of the work that they put into it.
Of course, since they don't know you, they can be as honest as they care to be, and so it's not a concern, right?
Yeah, well, they were nice. They were so nice, but I didn't know any of them, so that was kind of like, it was kind of a leap of faith doing that, because normally I feel like authors like to be more comfortable with who reads their manuscripts, and so I had been doing that, but I just realized I needed to go out of my inner circle and reach out to more people, so I did that. But that was early on. Now I feel like now I've been able to connect with so many different authors that I feel a lot more comfortable reaching out to people in my circle, because I have a lot more editing and author friends in that circle who can give me really good feedback that would help me progress.
So these days, when you're writing a book, how many folks get to take a look at the book before you're sending it on to an editor?
I would say about 5-ish people get to look at it. I don't want to make too many people read it at this point, and then also I don't want it to only have like one person's feedback, because that wouldn't be beneficial either. So I try to keep it into like a tighter circle.
And are these like critique partners where you're swapping critiques with them, and then you're reading their stuff, or?
Yes, there are a few. There's both. There are a few that will like to read because they read a ton of books, and so they're really good about spotting these problems, but they don't write themselves. And then there are a few who also write. And if they write, I like to try to exchange manuscripts so that we can have that fair, beneficial, mutual, what am I trying to say? The mutual beneficial relationship.
Sounds reasonable to me. So, that's a good deal, because I'm sure you're giving insightful feedback, and if you're receiving it as well, that's certainly more cost effective. Although with your schedule now, I don't know how much, I'm sure there's a higher premium on your time than there was before you had 3 children, and still books to write, and eventually videos to produce again.
Yeah, I suppose I am a lot more busy now, but if I want someone to put a lot of time and effort into helping me with my manuscript, then I'm gonna try to do the exact same thing to them. So I'll definitely make time. I have to make time.
What does your average workday look like?
Ooh, you're putting me on the spot here. Well, I definitely am a mom like the entire day usually. I might do a little bit of social media in and out during the day, but most of my day I am a mom 100%. And then as soon as they go to bed, it's like, boom, what do I need to work on? And I might do some website stuff or writing or reading. I have to actually plan in times to read because I don't really have just time to sit around on the couch and pull up a book. So I really have to like schedule it in. And so writing, reading, and then marketing. Marketing, actually, I can't believe how much time it takes to do things like that. So I kind of have to find a way to balance all those three main things, and then also have a life.
Sure, that's that's important too. So, when you're planning time for reading, how much reading do you do? I know you've been a voracious reader most of your life. How much reading are you doing now? How much reading is absolutely essential for a writer that you're blocking in time for?
I don't know that there's a number that I can give, but the more you read, the better, because you just learn more the more you read, and especially reading what you want to write. So if you want to write children's books, then you should be reading children's books. If you want to write mysteries or mystery children's books, like find those books, and so that you can not only figure out how to write like that, but also knowing what stories are already out there. It would be a real shame if you had an idea for a book and you took all this time to write the book and then you realized, oh, this already exists. You know, like that would be that'd be horrible. And I've actually talked to people who have told me that they want to write a certain book, and they've told me like what it's about, and I'm like, this is a story that already exists, or this is a huge cliche. You know, like if they had been reading more, they would have kind of figured that out on their own. So the more you read, the better, but don't look at me as a perfect example, because I'm a little behind on my reading. I'm trying to read a couple debut authors right now, but I just had a baby, so my baby's like 3 months old right now. And so that kind of threw me for a bit. And then I had a launch, so that also pushed me back. But I am really trying to read all of the 2021 debut authors. And right now I am reading, oh gosh, I forgot the name, but I'm reading 2 books right now by debut authors. And then I also just picked up one from Barnes & Noble the other day for my son. That was not a debut book, but it was a graphic novel for middle grade, and it was so funny. So that was one, and it's called The Big Bad Fox. That one's a cute one. So I'm like reading here and there, and then I read picture books and younger books to my kids all the time. But I do have to, as much as I can, try to find time to read for myself.
The nice thing about writing middle grade, and I know you write picture books as well, is you're spending plenty of time with the target audience, and you can pull up a book and read to them, and that counts. You're nailing, you're excelling at parenting, and you're getting your market research out of the way.
That's true. It's really cool. For picture books, I really have read so many picture books. So that's kind of why I'm trying to write some now, because I feel like I've got quite a good base to work from, and it's really fun to work with kids and to read to them. So yes, I don't know if I'm excelling as a parent, but it is really fun to read to my kids. And I actually dedicated the Sea of Kings to my oldest, and he was like, oh, this is for me. I'm like, yeah, so when you're older, you can read it with me. And he's like, let's read it now. So I started reading a little bit to him, and I didn't want to scare him because there's a little bit of scary parts in there because he's only 4 years old, but he liked it, and it was so cool to read my own book to my kids. It was a really cool moment.
Well, I think that any parent who is reading to their child is winning the parenting game, for at least as long as that's happening. I could be just chaos and madness directly after and directly before, but by God, during that reading time, killing the game.